is Kyle B. Thompson. I'm the programming director for the Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival. Over these past 2 weeks, we've been interviewing some fantastic filmmakers, writers, producers, actors, actresses, all who are official selections of the 2021 or 2020 Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival. Obviously, COVID-19 has sort of changed the way festivals go about, so we're hoping to bring filmmakers closer together and from the safety of our homes. So I have a fantastic producer and writer who has a short film called Safe and Happy. It is an absolute fantastic film. I'm super excited to bring him on. Please welcome Daniel Smith. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Hey, Kyle, good to be there, at least virtually.
Virtually for now, yeah. You're calling in from Missouri?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, all right. Awesome. How's it over there right now? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's nice and cool, not as scenic as where you are. I would much rather be in Fort Myers Beach Film Festival right now, but I'm stuck ass here in Flower Land. But it's the way it is at both festivals.
I hear, yeah. And here's the more unfortunate thing. I'm actually not even from Fort Myers. I'm actually in Philadelphia right now.
Oh my God!
So I wish I was there too, to be honest with you.
Okay, well then we're in the same boat. You know what it feels like.
Yeah.
When it could be a nice day at the beach, and instead it's a day behind the computer.
Yeah. So you have it's a great short film that you wrote and produced called Safe and Happy. It's such a fantastic story, by the way, and the whole film is beautiful. My judges loved it, so we're super excited to play it. But I want to know, especially as the writer, where this inspiration came from. Was it a certain moment, or kind of where did you come up with this idea?
Well, I don't know that it came from a moment, but I've always been interested in people's secrets. I think secrets are a fascinating way to get into, to develop a story out of, create character and conflict and mystery. And I thought, what would happen if a guy who seemed to be the most upstanding guy in the world, he's a former DEA agent, he's a cop, he's trying to be the pillar of the community. I'll tell you one film that did provide an inspiration for it, vaguely, but not really. I don't know if you remember it. It's called The History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen.
I think so.
Great film. It's a great film about a guy who runs a coffee shop with his wife and stuff, and you find out he's actually connected to the mob. He owes a debt to the mob, and he's living under sort of an alias. Well, I don't want to give away too much about Safe and Happy, but let's just say he felt like he was doing a good thing in the world, and but he's had, for reasons I can't go into, he's had to keep that good thing a secret. And that's why the tagline of the movie, I can say it now because he won't give it away, but it's really important when it happens, is when he's confronted with the lies that explode when you find out he's supposed to help give blood and help his daughter survive leukemia. He says, well, what do you do when the wrong thing is also the right thing? And that's the moral question of the film. So it presents him as a guy who's a good guy and a bad guy, and it's up to the audience to decide which one he is.
Wow, yeah. And the whole movie, which I think it starts off such a way that just sucks you right in, because there's immediate conflict. You kind of hear they're in a situation. I would love, for those who are watching right now, I'd love to play a clip of Safe and Happy. Is that okay with you?
Cool, go for it.
All right, let's take a listen.
Sit down, Ray. You're making me nervous.
Shannon's sick, Joe. I wouldn't be nervous.
Yeah, well, you jumping around like this, it's not gonna make her any better.
What if she dies, Joe? Doc, what's going on with my girl?
Well, I'm afraid it's what we thought originally, Ray.
Wow. And that's really the beginning. I mean, it sort of sucked all of us right in. So what did the production look like? I mean, I'm curious about where you guys filmed it, how long it took to film. As a producer, were you on set pretty heavily, or were you away from it? Or tell us a little more about that.
I'm a big believer in being there and making it happen, because I helped fund a lot of it. And so I guess what I was minding my own dollars and cents. We shot it one day at one of these office sharing places. You've probably seen them all over the country, you know, where they
Yeah.
come in. We rented the whole space for a day, and we shot it in about 12 hours, and we were done. I mean, you know, it focused on a couple of places, you know, a waiting room of a doctor's office, and then the hallway where he ran away to try to get away from his issue, from his lie, and his wife chases him out, and we find out all about that. So
Yeah.
you know, we tried to hone in on the most absolute essential information the audience might need, well, would need to have, and nothing else. It's the sparest kind of thing, which is what I love about shorts. Now, they have their problems. You don't get to work out everything in a short. People walk away, if in good ones, they walk away with more questions than they have answers. But if they have good questions and it provokes them to think about something, then I think you've kind of won the battle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, as a writer, and you, I mean, you've done a whole bunch of fantastic work. I think you mentioned you have work that's been Emmy nominated, correct?
I have, yeah, I'm pleased to say.
And which is, yeah, that's awesome. And you also are now doing something with HBO.
I have a true crime thriller that this is between me and you and whoever's listening. Amy Adams is attached to she has a producer that has a first look deal with HBO, so she would star in and help produce this limited series at HBO, a true crime thriller that we're waiting to hear how it goes. They've been pitching it. They pitched it today at HBO, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited about it.
That is amazing. Congratulations. That's super exciting. So
Definitely open a few doors for me. Yeah.
Just a few. So as a writer, because you know, I've been talking to a lot of directors and filmmakers, but you with such a wealth of knowledge of writing, where do you start with your writing process? Like what's the what's the one thing you need to see? Like, all right, now I'm good to paper. Sorry, is it?
Well, there's that. I always, of course, have to have a story that I think matters to me personally, that I then think I can make more universal and relatable. But if you're talking about more practically speaking, in terms of outlining it, I believe in something really basic. But it was, I forget who said this, but it had been Aaron Sorkin or somebody. You have to write towards your ending. In other words, you've got to know where it's going to end. That sounds so basic. And then the other thing I remember from going to WGA conferences, this also sounds basic, but people in the indie world forget it. Don't forget your audience. In other words, there's all kinds of writing where you think, I just love this story. I'm just so immersed in it. I want to tell it. Okay, great. But is it going to be relatable? Is it at all universal? Can people who aren't inside your head spark to it?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, or I don't know, you might want to rethink it a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So I believe in don't forget your audience and write towards your ending.
Yeah. That is fantastic advice. And I think, you know, the writing of this film shows it. And you guys have done a handful of film festivals. I think you guys were in the St. Louis Filmmaker Showcase.
Yeah, been in a bunch of them. We were in the Austin Revolution Film Festival, Chandler Film Festival, about 30 of them so far. I really wanted to go to the beach and see and experience Fort Myers, but certain things kind of intervened. It just drives me nuts because I had already purchased my plane tickets, as a matter of fact.
No.
Yeah, thankfully Southwest refunded them, but you know, it was just real high on my list. I really wanted to see it. I wanted to be there. I've had good vibes from the festival, from everything I've heard from other filmmakers and what I picked up from you and what the schedule looked like. So it was a real disappointment, a huge one for me.
Man.
But I can imagine for you, my God.
Oh, yes, and we were by the week of the first week of April, or what actually was happening. We were all, you know, in Pennsylvania, sort of stuck at home, and we were just like, man, we should be on the beach right now, having a drink in hand. Filmmakers. I'm hoping we can make it up to everybody in 2021, because this is not at all what we planned it to be. But COVID-19 had other plans for us, I guess, apparently. So hopefully this is all behind us sooner than later, and we can get back to the beach and get back to being creative. I've always said that I think creativity always finds a way, even through the worst of times. So hopefully that'll continue on.
I think especially true for writers, yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, so going back to the film, you did a ton of film festivals. What are you most proud about? Because you mentioned, you funded some of this film. So, what are you, out of everything on the film, what are you most proud about?
Involving Safe and Happy?
Yeah.
Wow, it's hard to say the one single thing. I guess when we took it to the Kansas City Film Festival, not the film festival, Kansas City, what's that called? It's a 4K film festival or something.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a one-day thing, one evening thing where they show a bunch of films. And because it's relatively nearby, we were able to bring some of the cast over, and they really got a great feel for the story and why. Two of the three cast members were in it. My DP came, my sound guy came because he lived in Kansas City originally. So that was for kind of unique reasons. And they had a big hour-long practically Q&A afterwards. So it was so much fun to get to know the audience really well. And that, as you know, as a film festival director, that's really what film festivals are all about, is the opportunity not just to network, but for filmmakers to get to meet their audiences. Because that's something that's just so unique and wonderful about festivals that I just love. It's not like the theater where every night the audience is there. So you just crave that moment where you can get in front of an audience and get their reaction, good, bad, or indifferent, get questions, talk about the process, and really everybody can learn something. So that was one of the best nights we ever had. And I was hoping for something like that at Fort Myers. But
I know. Let's hope for 2021 we can make it up. You guys can come on out and we'll show you what our festival really sort of stands for. But I think
maybe we'll have a shout out to alumni.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we're planning on doing a sort of like a playback. We're actually saving a couple of our blocks this year for filmmakers of 2020.
That's cool. I like that.
Because right, you hit it nail on the head. Is the whole point about film festivals, especially for us, everybody at Fort Myers Beach, is the goal for this was, to bring filmmakers closer together, to bring a community of art to Fort Myers Beach. And for filmmakers, it's a chance to meet other filmmakers, to network, but it's also to help build a community. So we understand that this whole virtual thing sort of makes that more difficult. But we're trying to make it up for, in 2021. So hopefully we can get your film to play in 2021 and we can do a little screening and we can show you what Fort Myers Beach is all about.
I cannot wait for that. Believe me.
Awesome. Fantastic. So how long have you been, writing for? I mean, so obviously you have a heck of a resume. So what got you into writing? Was it just from a young age? Tell us a little more about that.
Before we got on air, I mentioned that I started out as a history professor at the University of Kentucky for many years. And I'm a believer that historians obviously have to tell true stories. And I'm also a belief that even though Safe and Happy is made up, still, I think some of the best stories you don't have to make up. True stories often are the most compelling. And so I started turning in, much to the chagrin of my colleagues in the history department, even though I wrote a book. I've now written 4 or 5 history books, but back then I'd written one. I got into filmmaking because I thought, I want people besides fellow historians to understand these stories. I want to get them out, whether they're historical or not. I did a documentary, a biopic about Edgar Allan Poe that was on American Masters series. Philip Glass did the music for it, and Treat Williams was in it, and John Hurd, and it was really a cool show. And I did a number of documentaries with James Earl Jones narrating about the Cherokees, because I'm part Cherokee. Believe it or not, James Earl Jones is part Cherokee.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
No, he is. And then I morphed into wanting to do feature pieces that are entirely fictional. So I did a film about a crime thriller called Texas Heart, which starred John Savage from The Deer Hunter and Lynn Shay from Insidious. And now I've got several projects in development. One of them is one at HBO. So I think historians are storytellers, and I've just expanded that into the world of fiction and make it. We live in a visual culture. There's no reason I can't tell stories visually as well as on paper. So I did.
Wow, that's an incredible resume for sure. So I do have a question. If you could give your one piece of advice to your younger writer self, what would it be?
Well, the one thing I got from my first film producer, the Edgar Allan Poe documentary that was on PBS, as a matter of fact, I was just a writer on it. And she told me, after there was a lot of trouble on the set where I had no voice, she said, Dan, in the future, here's a lesson to you. Always be a producer on your projects.
Yeah.
And I have been one ever since.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome.
Always be a producer, so you have at least a voice in the room where the decisions are made.
Yeah.
And that's mattered hugely to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I feel like a lot of times, writers, they'll write a script and then they sell it, I guess, to producers, and the producers sort of like, sometimes will tear it up and make it, and that's like my writing, So that's a great, fantastic piece of advice.
Most hyphenates, I guess is the word they use, are writer directors. But I decided, okay, I'm making maybe an artistic mistake in not being a writer director, because I am interested in directing, and I have directed a couple of very small things, but nothing big. I decided to become a writer producer because I wanted some input and control. I wanted a seat at the table, and I realized that the table was pretty small, and a lot of people told me to get out of the room.
Oh, wow.
Because on that set where I wasn't the producer, I remember one emblematic moment when Treat Williams said I was able to get coffee for him. And I thought, okay, if I'm a producer, I wouldn't be doing this.
Right. That's awesome.
But I was a dumb writer. I said, and of course, he's a great guy and all that, but he probably thought, you look like you need to go get me some espresso or something. So I did.
Wow.
It's embarrassing, but it's really true.
But hey,
there's other great lessons, but that's an important one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is one lesson to learn. That's one way to learn it, I guess. Well, Daniel, how can we stay in touch with you? You have a website, social media.
I do.
Tell us a little more about that. How can we all stay connected?
Just go to danielblakesmith.com and you'll find out probably more than you want to know about what I'm up to. What I'm doing. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter. I'm on Instagram, but the easiest, quick way is go to danielblakesmith.com.
Okay, perfect. I will absolutely follow you if I don't already on all the social media, so we can stay connected.
Cool.
But Daniel, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited to screen your film September 26th at 5:30. But thank you so much for your time and your knowledge. It was absolutely great meeting you. I hope in 2021 we can meet in person.
You're the best, Kyle. Thank you so much, buddy.
No worries, Daniel. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was fantastic. Please watch that film. It's amazing. It plays September 26th at 5:30. Again, guys, my name is Kyle B. Thompson. There's my Instagram, Twitter. Follow me around. Come meet the filmmakers on Zoom right now. Right now, more than anything, we need to stay connected as filmmakers and as festival goers. So until then, we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.